This week on SUTV Overtime, football continues on their best start since 2017. Can they wrangle the Rams on the road?
Jazmin Petrantonio has earned herself a spot in Shippensburg history as field hockey remains #1 in the nation.
And cross country is still running strong as they head to Lehigh this weekend.
All of that and more coming up next on SUTV Overtime.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to SUTV Overtime. Great to have you with us. Jacob Hitz, Patrick Ramsdale here with you, and another great week of Ship Sports has come and gone. There's a lot of great stuff to look forward to this week coming up.
Oh, yeah, it's been a great fall so far to be a Ship Sports fan. I'm very excited for the rest of this year.
But again, before we look forward, let's take a look at what we've had. Some of the highlights from this last week in our Ship in 60. We start in the third quarter. 2nd down and 8 for Bryson Musina. Fires over the middle and has a wide open Ian Sheehan, the true freshman. He takes it the distance, 76 yards for the touchdown. Ship beats Bloomsburg 51-7 in the Grove.
So no time remaining. Corner from Caitlin Wink goes to Jazmin Petrantonio. She cuts right, fires one, snipes it right into the back of the net. No time remaining. Shippensburg wins 4-2.
Soccer from Saturday night, men's soccer specifically, a pass deep that gets behind the keeper in pink, and it's Harry Kershaw in the Navy uniform to knock it in. You can see the replay here. Good luck seeing it. It's that pixel over there floating and in the net. I can assure you it's a goal nonetheless. The Raiders win it 1-0. So, a lot of great stuff from this weekend, or from this last week. Football on a tear. 51-7 over Bloomsburg. Soccer picking up the win. Field hockey playing twice, winning twice. Still the #1 team in the nation. You talked about it's a great time to be a Red Raider. Across the board, it's just wins left, right, and center.
Yeah, it's just been a very dominant year so far for a lot of the Ship sports, and especially I think football is the main one. I think kind of took a little people by surprise based off of 2019 season. 4-7 wasn't the best look, but 4-0 start has been absolutely fantastic for the Raiders this year. And I think the big thing that some people are a little bit upset about is that Ship is still unranked in Division II.
They did get some votes at least to become ranked. I believe they're now 31st in the nation in Division II, something like that, with where they lined up with the polls. Behind Kutztown, who did receive votes again after knocking off Shepherd, who was in the top 10. They're now down 21st. Of course, the Raiders go on the road to Shepherd and to Kutztown, 2 out of the next 3 games. Plus, they have Westchester coming into Seth Grove in 2 weeks. It's going to be a tough hill to climb for the Raiders. This is the first time they've gone 4-0 in a season since 2017. And of course, the other time before that, 2012. I believe they went 5-0 in 2012, but then lost that 6th game at home. The Raiders, they've got a great streak going on right now after having a rough 2019 season. It'll be interesting to see where they go from here because the defense, while it's been great, they haven't really had to play powerhouse offenses in the first 4 games.
Yeah, and this is something that we talked about in the first SUTV Overtime is this 3-game stretch is really going to show how good this Ship football team really is. And you've showed some glimpses. They can do some great things on the field, but if you really want to prove yourself as someone that should be a ranked team, and I know the football team, they think they should be ranked. If they really want to prove that you should be a ranked team, this 3-game stretch is going to prove that right here. And I definitely think Shepherd, this is going to be, in my opinion, could be one of the games of the year of this upcoming weekend.
Of course, 2 years ago, so last season in 2019, Ship traveled to Shepherd. Ship, I think, was 1-4 at the time. Things weren't looking well. They went to Shepherd. They were on the goal line to try and win the game. They were down by 2 on the goal line at the end of the game, almost coming away with the upset in Shepherd. Shepherd was doing great 2 years ago. They're doing great now. It's not impossible for Shippensburg to come away with a win on the road in Shepherd. They almost did it 2 years ago with a not-so-great team. This team is much better. What do you think is a key going into this weekend for the Raiders to focus on going against Shepherd?
I think you kind of said it before. The defense is going to be the focus. We've seen what the offense can do, but the defense hasn't really been challenged that much. And if you took a look at the Kutztown-Shepherd game from last weekend, Kutztown's defense was able to shut Shepherd down, and that's how they came away with the win. So I definitely think the Shippensburg defense is really going to have to play the game of their lives this upcoming week.
Especially that secondary. We did see a pick six in this weekend's game here at home from Kion Smith, but the secondary, they've had a couple of picks here and there. Trey Paul has been active. Mike Brewer, I think, had a pick in the first game, so it's not like it's unheard of for the Ship secondary to get the ball in their hands, but they've got a long road ahead of them. This front seven, they've been solid. A lot of them have been together for a long time. It's really had an impact. This secondary, I think, is going to be this key moving forward for this Ship defense. If the secondary shows up to play, there's a good chance that Shippensburg could come away with that win.
Yeah, and I think talking about the interceptions that the Ship defense has had so far is you take a look at some of the interceptions we've gotten. They haven't really been, any kind of spectacular interceptions, especially the last two from this home game last weekend. They were just it was Ben Reese just kind of throwing up like just a long ball to nobody really, and it just ended up in the hands of Shippensburg. So there hasn't really been anything spectacular. They haven't had to pick off any, of the more like high-level QBs. But it's going to be something that hopefully they've been working on in practice. I imagine defense has been the big push in practice this week.
Just have to wait and see. That is a noon kickoff this Saturday down at Shepherd. Moving on, the elephant in the room may be field hockey. Jazmin Petrantonio setting the record for all-time goals in Shippensburg University field hockey history. She set it on Saturday. She scored twice then on Sunday, already extending her mark. She's at 83 career goals now. We've been talking about it, potential for her to hit 100.
Yeah, I think the first thing is we have to give a huge congratulations to Jazmin Petrantonio for breaking that school record with some time to spare here in the season. They have 10 regular season games left, and she needs only 17 more to reach 100. It's going to be tough, but with the pace she's been scoring goals this year, it's not out of the question, especially with playoffs, which Shippensburg, the #1 team in the nation, should make not only PSAC the playoffs, but also the national championship tournament as well.
They do have a tough game coming up on Wednesday on the road at East Stroudsburg. East Stroudsburg also ranked in the top 10. A lot of PSAC schools are ranked in the top 10. What's a key here for Shippensburg? Stay focused on the road against a ranked opponent. We saw them go into Westchester and beat them when Westchester was ranked #1 in the nation. This team now below Shippensburg in the rankings. How are they going to beat them?
I think the key for Shippensburg is they really have to play their game. You can't let the other team set the pace, especially on the road, and that's exactly what Shippensburg did when they played Westchester early in the season. So you definitely have to, kind of keep your own game, keep a level head, and they know these upper-level PSAC teams, which many of the PSAC teams are, the upper-level competitive teams. You're going to have to, kind of stay in your own mindset and what you've been working on in practice and just kind of keep calm and try and push your tempo instead of letting the other team take control of the game, because that's when it will start to fall apart.
And we saw things almost fall apart late in that game on Sunday when Ship was up, I believe 3-0, gave up 2 goals then, and with a minute and a half left, we were both there. You saw on the far sideline the entire Shippensburg starting team rushing over to come back into the game because they were pulled out up by 3-0. We're on easy street. Uh-oh, it's a close game now with a minute left. That's when Ship kind of had to put everybody back in, all hands on deck for that last minute and a half.
Yeah, it was that first goal was scored. Everyone was like, okay, it's all right. It's a little bit of the team getting experience that hasn't had as many minutes before. And then you saw that second one with some time to spare on the clock, and you saw the coach on the sideline turn, wave everyone to the sideline. And the Ship starters came back out there and scored that goal off the corner with no time remaining. And they wanted to kind of put a definitive end to that game. They didn't want to let Queens have the last goal in that game.
It got very, very scary for Shippensburg, but nonetheless, they were able to survive. Looking ahead now, cross country, they had a meet this past weekend. We talked about running, how this place is basically a running school. Same story this weekend. First for the men's, first for the women's. Close battles nonetheless with Dickinson, but Raiders able to come out on top.
Yeah, and that Dickinson Longshore Invitational at Big Spring High School was just an absolute dominant performance by both the men and women's cross-country teams. The men's team, 1 through 6 for that meet, all Shippensburg. On the women's side, from top 5. 3 of them were Shippensburg. I believe it was second, third, and fifth place finishes for Shippensburg. So we really are a running school, and it's been showing so far in cross country. It's been having some dominant performances, and both are sitting up towards the top of the PSAC right now.
We've been talking about volleyball while we're off air here. The record doesn't show how good they've been. They've had some tough matches where they just keep going and going and going against teams that you would think would just wipe them off the map. IUP, Shepherd, they've been hanging in there.
Yeah, and IUP and Shepherd are 2 big ones to look at. IUP last Saturday was able to bring them to 5 sets and just barely lost out on that one. Shepherd, who's easily the top team, I believe, in volleyball in the PSAC, they're 12-1 on the season, and they were able to steal a set from them. And the sets that they did lose, they weren't by any means any blowout sets. They were pretty close sets. And then looking back a few weekends when Ship hosted Queens and Jefferson and Bentley, against Jefferson was 8-0 at that point and was a very good volleyball team. And they were able to bring that game to 5 as well. So they've been, although their record is a losing record so far, they've been playing fantastic volleyball and just haven't gotten the results because they're playing such tough opponents.
And there's still time for them to turn that around. Let's look forward. Actually, let's look backward. Take a look at some of the best plays in Ship from the last week. New segment for us. It's our Ship Raider Top 5.
That's a good one. Oh, it went off the. Oh, it's in. Okay.
That's
goal.
All Iacobelli there. No one touched it.
What a beautiful shot.
That's straight in off the corner.
So Iacobelli bent that to the far post, drilled off the post, and went in.
Far post, near post, and in.
Good Lord. That was awesome.
Gets it to Petrantonio. Shakes, bakes into the circle. Shot. It's in the net. Jazmin Petrantonio with the goal, and with that, she takes over. She is now the all-time leading scorer in Shippensburg University field hockey history.
Yeah, it was a really nice job. He's done phenomenal this year.
Reese pass. Now it's going to be intercepted. Here come the Raiders. All the way down the sideline. Cuts in. Touchdown, Raiders. Kion Smith. Interception, touchdown. Musina looks, he's going to find some room. He's going to go out left. Gets some room. All the way, Musina. We wait to see if they call that a touchdown. Touchdown, Bryson Musina. What a run.
It's a really nice job there. Gets through everyone into some open space on the left side and dives for the pylon. What a play.
How about Bryson Musina? Man's got wheels, huh?
Bryson Musina has been, we didn't really talk about it this much when we talked about football, but Bryson Musina has been playing incredible these past 2 weeks. I think in just the past 2 weeks, he's thrown for over 700 yards.
Well, player of the week in the East this week on offense. Let's just go ahead, dive straight into the game balls for the week for us. The Crew going with Bryson Musina here. We'll pull up a graphic here. 80 for 116. This is just on the season now. Over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, no interceptions. On the ground, he's got positive yardage in rushing, which is rare for a quarterback that isn't really mobile, plus the touchdown, the first rushing touchdown of his career. This past weekend, he's been looking strong. He's kept the ball out of the hands of the defense for the most part. He's had a couple fumbles, but it's only been 1 or 2. He's been able to keep it clean so far. A much better start to the season than 2 years ago.
Yeah, and definitely I think the biggest stat that kind of pops out to you is the fact that he's thrown no interceptions. And let me just knock on wood right now. But he's been playing incredible, just not turning over the ball. But yeah, he's been playing incredible so far this year. I think for myself, I have to give the game ball this week to Jazmin Petrantonio. In my opinion, it's an obvious choice. That's a school record for most career goals. It's sitting at 83 right now. It's definitely going to finish with a lot more than that. Against Queens, 2 goals and an assist, and then a goal against Mansfield, and that's just in the past week. let alone the 2 games so far this year that she's scored 5 in 2 different games.
She's got, I think, 14 goals on the season already. I think her season high is 28, 29, something like that. It's almost 30. It's insane how many goals she scores a year. She's already halfway to that mark.
And we're only about 6 games in.
Exactly. There's a long way to go. Game ball for the week coming from me. Gonna go to the wide receiver, Ian Sheehan. Talked about him at the very beginning in our Ship in 60, where he had that 76-yard touchdown catch and run, 21 catches to start out the season, 384 yards, 4 touchdowns, and again, this kid's a true freshman. He transferred in from a collegiate prep college. He went there in 2020, transferred in this year. He's just been incredible for this offense. Kyle Evans has done a great job out at wide receiver, Evan Morrill as well. But it seems like Musina to Sheehan is something we're going to have to get used to seeing this year and next year as well, because it's a dynamic duo out there.
Yeah, and they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's kind of similar to a few years ago when it was you'd see Musina to Eubanks, and they've found that duo, and it seems like Ian Sheehan is going to be Musina's target receiver so far this year.
It's going to be a lot of fun to look forward to. We want to thank you so much for watching us here on SUTV Overtime. It's been a lot of fun. We'll be back with more coverage next week from all of us here at SUTV News and SUTV Sports, really. Patrick Ramsdale, Jacob Hitz, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you with our main broadcast on Thursday, and then, of course, we're back next week with more on Overtime. Until then, thanks and good night.